Hello and welcome back to another episode of In Development. This time with the release of what is it? Oh yeah. With the release of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, the new Tarantino film, we thought we would pitch our dreams version of Tarantino's Star Trek that's been spoken about for a little while now. And when I say we, I don't just mean me and the voices in my head. I mean me and the people in this podcast with me. So I'm joined as always by James.
Hello.
And we have a returning guest now in George.
Like a bad penny.
Welcome back. To be fair, the last episode we did was probably our best episode of In Development.
Oh,
that was
I
a
love
really,
that.
really good one.
Fast and Furious episode.
I'm very flattered, thank you.
Yeah. So welcome back. The tables have turned slightly this time. In that you've never seen a film outside of the first. You only seen the first one at the time, haven't you?
Yeah.
You've since doubled that. You've seen the first two Fast films.
Fast and Furious, yeah.
But you're a big Trek guy.
I am.
And James and I are not the biggest Trek guys.
No.
Possibly the smallest Trek guys.
You are very short, yes.
Interesting. So you're kind of the expert here, and we're kind of, trekking into darkness, you could say.
I wish you wouldn't.
Ooh. Cringe.
But, we're Tarantino fans, so let's
we
see what flavour we're able to bring. But I think maybe we should start with you, George.
Oh, wow.
Actually, we'll end with George. We'll
Okay.
let George do it right after James and I have done it wrong.
Don't build it up too much.
Okay, I won't talk about the lengths of preparation you've gone to. I'll keep that as a secret that no one will ever know about. James, do you want to start us off with your pitch?
I'll start us off, as I did last time. So I took it from the angle that Tarantino's a fan of the original stuff, and I thought he'd want to play in that sort of area a little bit more. So my pitch, the film will be called, that's the only one with the title at the moment, is Star Trek. I don't know how you pronounce the word, but it's Quietus, something like that. It'll be one of those sort of things where no one really knows how to pronounce the word.
The marketing team at Paramount are going to love that.
So my pitch is that Kirk is retired. Now, you might be thinking, this is Chris Pine. It's not.
It's not Chris Pine.
We're going to get William Shatner back. He's coming back. So he's retired, he's happy, and he's like roaming space, and he's got his own ship now. He's just going through space on his own, doing his own little thing. When he comes across one of his friends, who will be played by Al Pacino.
Okay.
Al Pacino. The other thing I want to say about my film is that I want a lot of aliens. It really bothers me that in like Star Trek and Star Wars, where we see so many humans and humanoid characters, I want it to go a little bit crazy. Although saying that, Al Pacino's character would be a human.
That makes sense.
What a great time to bring that up.
But Al Pacino's character runs a space strip club.
Okay.
Which Kirk goes to quite often. He's friends with Al Pacino's character, who's called Malcolm, and it's there that he meets now, George, you're gonna have to not be offended by any pronunciation of alien names I get wrong.
Okay. Human. They're called human.
Is it Orion or Orion?
Orions.
Orion. So it's an Orion strip club full of. So Tommy, I don't know how much research you've done. They're green people.
Okay, thank you. Needed that.
Oh really? Oh
Yeah.
dear.
Is that
this one is called
the first Star Trek? Is she an Orion?
She's an Orion, yeah. It's the sort of like the typical sort of Orion slave girl thing. Was the from TOS.
She'll join the team later on. Her name is Nassar, and while she's there, she overhears and intercepts a message from the villain, who will be played. He's a Romulan because they're apparently always villains or something. I don't know. And his name will be Vracomo, and he'll be played by Walter Goggins.
Nice. We're just saying about Walter Goggins.
Yeah, but little did you know that I already had him in. I was like,
God, we've got that soundbite forever.
So they've intercepted this message, and he's going on his way to get a gun called Necrosis, and the Necrosis gun rips apart your atoms from the inside out.
Oh.
So Kirk, he goes back to Earth. He tries to get help, but no one's there. No one's willing to help him. So he goes to meet the Vulcans because he thinks, I'm going to get Spock back. But little does he know that Spock has passed away.
Oh.
So it's going to be a nice funeral there, and this is where he will also pick up a new Vulcan though. He's got
to have one.
He's got to have one. This one being a female Vulcan by the name of Susif, who will be played by Uma Thurman.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
So I'm getting all these Tarantino back.
Yeah.
And basically they kind of assemble a team. I don't really have much of a plot left. But they kind of go through the galaxy, they kind of go to some places trying to stop this guy. They've both got their own separate teams. So Kirk's team is obviously William Shatner and Dakota Johnson, who will be playing the Orion stripper that you met earlier on. Kirk's wife will also be coming along, who will be played by Julie Andrews.
Brilliant.
So yeah, I've got the Vulcan that he has to have, played by Uma Thurman. I've also got a Gorn on the team.
They're the lizard people.
They're the lizard people, and Thor had only been in 2 episodes, and I'm aware of them, and I wanted them to be. They're going to be CGI motion capture performance, and it's going to be by Toby Kebbell.
Oh, cool.
Oh, interesting. I thought Circus was coming.
No, I didn't. Circus he's got a lot on his plate, and I really like Toby Kebbell, and I want him to do more.
I like Toby Kebbell.
That. And then on the Romulans team, played by Walter Goggins, you've got Samuel Jackson. He's coming back, and he's going to play a Klingon.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're also going to pick up members of the team who will be Brad Pitt and Lakeith Stanfield.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
And that's kind of it. That's sort of my pitch. I think I've got a great cast. There's going to be lots of going to different planets. That's kind of what I want. I want to see loads of different planets. I want to see loads of different alien species. I want to see the dirty sort of side of the galaxy as well. That's kind of what I wanted to lean into more, the sort of gangstery sort of Tarantino, the mobster sort of stuff that we kind of got in like Goodfellas-y sort of thing.
Yeah, that works on like how clean Star Trek always is as well. Like the
yeah, and that's why I wanted to put Tarantino's sort of own spin on it. I didn't want to go for a clean sort of side of the galaxy. And I think that's the same with Star Wars. People want to see the dirty sort of side of it. And not knowing much about Star Trek, I kind of lean on my Star Wars-y side.
Cool.
Yeah, that's it.
That's great.
What a great cast I have.
So mine
We're
is
all on board.
pretty different to yours in that it's all the same cast and there's no planets. So mine, basically, it sort of starts off, the Enterprise doing the Enterprise things. They're just like, roaming about the space. And then all of a sudden the ship just like stops and it's just like not working. They're in the dead of space, nothing nearby. And, Scotty like finds out there's been some sort of sabotage and it's going to take some time, but he can get it working again. But for now, they're kind of sitting ducks, and all outgoing and incoming communication has been like blocked, and they don't know why. And it's kind of this whole like they're just sitting there waiting for something to happen. They don't know what's happening. And then as the film like kind of progresses, this is all the Kelvin cast. That makes sense, right? So just the Kelvin cast.
Kelvin cast makes sense.
But anyway, and then slowly people start dying, and it becomes this kind of mystery of like what's going on. And all these people dying, they're all sword wounds. So it's all like sword stuff.
Guys.
And basically, as the film goes on, we realise the person doing all this, she reveals herself to be Carol Marcus, killing off the crew slowly by slowly. She's actually after Kirk, and it seems to be that she wants revenge. She somehow blames Kirk for the death of her father, which kind of makes no sense. And everyone is kind of like, this makes no sense. Why is she doing this? What's going on? And then insert plot, film happens, and we get to the end, where it sort of finally comes down to the bridge. Because, Kirk doesn't want to hurt her or, kill her or anything like that. So he, makes a call that a lot of the crew kind of disagree with, in that they should try and take her alive and take her... They don't disagree that she should be taken alive, but, minimal violence as possible and stuff like that. And people seem to think that this is, endangering everyone because she's been killing people, relentlessly, and she's really good at it. And anyway, as it comes, to the final act, it appears that she's been infected by... a seti eel? A seti eel? It's like a gross little bug that brainwashes you, but we don't find out who put it in there, and that's setting up a sequel. But basically, the whole film is kind of like this revenge thriller, kind of like sword play, kind of locked in a ship, violent kind of thing. And it's bringing Alice Eve back because apparently she was just forgotten about in the third one. So yeah, that's kind of my short pitch.
Nice.
George, show us how it's done.
Well, it's interesting. We have some sort of cross elements that I've got with both of yours. Mine was, I was thinking about, I had a few sort of false starts, and I feel as though I was first a little bit too self-conscious about having reasons as to why this film would feel like Tarantino. So there was I thought about maybe doing a mirror universe thing, or something that would sort of give an excuse for the violence and the language and things like that. But then I decided that there's so much in TOS that works because it's all frontierism, it's all shoot from the hip, wagon train to the stars, that it works with Tarantino. You don't have to be self-conscious with it. So my Quentin Tarantino Star Trek plot will follow a political assassination and follow the Kelvin crew of the USS Enterprise as they're embroiled in a plot by a warmongering Klingon who wants to destabilize the Federation. It will be divided into 5 chapters, as is Tarantino's want, splitting them up into various worlds and for them to come in contact with various alien species. The prologue, called The Trouble with Tellarites, play on the Trouble with Tribbles episode, but with a different species.
Oh, yeah.
And it opens, like you were saying, James, where you wanted sort of like lots of alien species. So it opens on like a diplomatic conference on the Enterprise. It's like the beginning to like Journey to Babel. But like the opening diner scene to Pulp Fiction or the beginning of Kill Bill, it soon becomes a bloodbath. So they're all sitting around, they're talking about why you should never invite a Tellarite to dinner. And that's because they always apparently bring bad luck. And it's one of those sort of like opening sort of like Tarantino things. Like, let me tell you about why you never invite so-and-so to things like that. And as he ends his story, there's a Tellarite behind them who's getting a little bit nervous. And he starts to open fire on the procession. And it's absolute massacre. Crew responds, majority of the deckers are dead, loads of red shirts have been slain, and the Tellarite's in critical condition. So he gets taken to sickbay, and then Dr. McCoy discovers that the Tellarite is actually an Orion who's been surgically altered to appear to be a Tellarite. And it becomes clear that the Tellarite was waiting for the Andorian ambassador to arrive, but his shuttle was stopped en route. And so now they think that the ambassador's life's in danger, and with the diplomatic relationship fragile, because the Andorians were coming to the summit because they're thinking of leaving the Federation, which would make them the Federation sort of at a weaker position. So Spock and McCoy decide to travel to Andoria to soothe tensions and sort of protect the diplomatic endeavours, while Sulu and Uhura head to the outskirts of Federation space to infiltrate the Orion crime syndicate. So Chapter 1 is Negotiations and Nerve Pinchers, and it deals with Spock and McCoy on the frozen world of Andoria, trying to meet with the ambassador. They're deep underground in sort of the quarters, and because of security measures, they're eventually locked down and they're trapped in there. And this is when it becomes sort of the latter half of the Hateful Eight. So Spock knows something's wrong. He knows that one of the Andorians, played by Tim Roth, in the room, is not who he says he is. And so we have like a whole deduction sort of sequence with Spock using his logic, Culver, and figuring it out just with like his gut and country muxie. They eventually discover that Tim Roth's Andorian is not who he says he is. They incapacitate him and figure out that he was hired to assassinate the Andorians, and he was hired by a Klingon. Chapter 2 is A Good Day to Die, and it's Kirk, Scott, and the remaining crew of the Enterprise are locked in a battle with an advanced Klingon cruiser that has approached them, led by a noble and deadly commander played by Michael Madsen. And this is sort of like it's like a mixture between like Balance of Terror, which is like a great submarine movie in Star Trek, and then the Doomsday Machine, where it's like them sort of like outgunned and outmaneuvered. And so, because I feel as though it's all too easy to, if Tarantino's doing a Star Trek film, to forget about like space combat. But I feel as though like it would be a good thing to have that in there. And then Chapter 3 is Moon over Rigel 7, and this follows the Orion angle with Sulu and McCoy infiltrating the fortress and court of the Orion Pirate Queen. They manage to stay hidden just long enough to overhear plans for a shipment of weapons and specialist shielding and locate the coordinates for the next shipment, but they're captured, and they're thrown at the bare feet of the seductive and sinister Orion called Valar, played by Uma Thurman. Initially they're sort of tortured and played with, but they manage to break free, and Sulu has his sword.
Yes.
And so what you get is essentially the Star Trek equivalent of Kill Bill's fight with the crazy 88, but it's Sulu fighting Orion pirates in the fortress. They all eventually return to the Enterprise with the information of a Klingon plot and the coordinates of where he's been orchestrating from. And it's the last chapter, A Dish is Best Served Cold. And so they're all in the Enterprise. They find that there's going to be a new summit, this time held in San Francisco at Starfleet headquarters, and it's sure to be a target. So they rush to the location of the next shipment and find an old Klingon outpost. Beaming down, Kirk comes face to face with the Klingon who's been orchestrating it all, Samuel Jackson. Samuel Jackson tells a long story about the best way to prepare the Klingon dish guk, for some reason.
You don't need a reason, it's fine.
No, exactly. And then Kirk, who has also had his shirt torn, again for some reason, proceeds to fight to the death using batleths. Klingon slain, the crew of the Enterprise return to Starfleet just in time to see the summit go ahead, with everyone sort of agreeing to remain as allies, and then our heroes regrouping ready to continue to go boldly.
Yeah, cool.
So yeah.
Yeah, not quite as good as mine, but I thought there was a little bit to. No, that was excellent. It was really, really cool.
What journey we've been on
Yeah.
across the galaxy.
So do you really want to see the Tarantino Trek film?
I'd love to see a Tarantino Trek film because like, what is that?
Yeah, that's my
know?
thoughts.
That's
Yeah.
the main thing, and I
Yeah.
think there's enough of like I say, like TOS is very sort of. As much as it deals with sort of lofty ideals and it's progressive, it is sort of swashbuckling and it is sort of like shoot from the hip. And I don't think any of that will be lost by having it be Tarantino and sort of bloody and sweary and like Pulp Fiction in space. But also I think it's like, because he's not written it, like Mark Smith's wrote it, so I'm like, if you're going to do it, just go all in.
Yeah.
But he'll probably find a loophole and then...
Do you think it will happen?
I think it will.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
I think he wants it to happen.
I wouldn't be surprised. I think he's talked about it enough, like pre and post Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. You know, and Paramount's not gonna like Star Trek 4 fell through, and like Paramount's like I think it's easy for them, isn't it?
I think it's a way of as much as Star Trek have got they're obviously doing well on the TV shows. You've also got Discovery, and with Picard coming out as well. I think it's easy for them to kind of lean on that. But I think a Tarantino film would really bring it back to film, and I think I could see that regenerating Star Trek.
I mean, I ended up missing Beyond, and I'm kind of not that fussed to like go and see it.
I really like Beyond.
It's really great.
I'm sure it's fine. I'm just not that fussed about it, to be honest. But I couldn't miss a Tarantino Trek film.
Yeah.
It would make it an essential watch, and I think that it's probably the same for quite a few people. So yeah, I'd love to see it too. Well, there you have it. There's our 3 pictures. Let us know what your pitch would be in the comments below. You let us know if you agree with any of us, George. And be sure to join us next time. I'm not sure what the next episode will be. That's kind of the fun of it. We'll find out when we get there, see what's coming out that week. And we'll be sure to pitch you our films then. Thanks a lot.